Tommy Larkins. Jonathan Richman was one of the founding members of the Modern Lovers, and since then he's had a wild and, well, maybe not wild, but wide-ranging and storied musical career, and it's a huge pleasure to talk to him. So,
hi.
How are you?
Good.
Good. So you've been in Reno a few times before.
Several times we've been, yeah.
I saw you in 2014 at the Holland Project.
Yeah,
and,
that's where we're playing tonight, too.
Yeah. And I'll be there as well. But I remember that night really well. It was really hot. It was like late June, early July. And it was really crowded. And you were playing kind of low, which I understand is your want.
What do you mean playing kind of low?
The volume was not super high.
Yeah, we don't play loud.
Yeah. And you just held the room in the palm of your hand. It just felt like everyone was hanging on every moment of that show. And sort of my first question is how'd you learn to do that?
Well, I'm not even always aware of it with stuff like that. When it's happening, we just come to play.
Yeah.
You just play. Like playing not too loud is actually good. That way there's nothing to shout over, so they don't shout over you.
Yeah. Is it sort of do you feel like it's a craft that you've evolved, or is it just kind of what you've always done?
No, when I was 5 years old, like there was a class play, they had kindergarten over there, back in Massachusetts, and I forgot my lines, and I just said what, and the whole place erupted and stuff, and I was brazen and shameless and stuff as a 5-year-old, so it was nothing craft, nothing evolved. I was just always a little squirt.
Yeah. When did you decide that music was going to be your thing?
Well, I thought you were going to ask, you pointed at Tommy. I figured I needed another squirt.
Oh, I'm definitely going to ask Tommy. Yeah.
Yeah. Music picked me. Music also picked him.
Yeah?
Yeah, music. I didn't pick music. Music picked me. I thought I was going to be a painter or something, even go into advertising. All of a sudden I heard music and I go, nope. That's not what you're doing. Because with music, I could paint in front of people, make this happen, this atmosphere happen, and all of a sudden, my father had a guitar lying in the back room, and I just played an E minor chord, not knowing what it was, but then opened, and just all day in the room, this little cheap guitar, and that was it.
Nice. How old were you?
16.
Okay. And how did you meet, Tommy, how did the two of you meet?
Tell him.
Okay, I was looking, I needed drummers in the different cities. I was working alone at that time in the early 1990s, traveling by Greyhound bus from show to show with a guitar. And I would call up the promoters and say, do you know a drummer? I want someone to back me up. And in Tucson, found like a musician friend. Well, his wife got on the phone, and I said, do you know any good drummers? He said, yeah, there's two. One might be better technically, but the other might have more feeling. I said, then just give me the name of the second one. And so Tommy showed up in Phoenix, and there we went.
So
he had a Toyota truck with a cabin on it, so no more Greyhound.
Nice.
So I moved up.
Well, that you have that song about riding the bus. So
that's right, and I can tell you.
I'm glad you got that wrote first.
Well, this was different. This was better.
Yeah. I can imagine. So you were in Tucson at the time?
Yeah,
Are you from there?
there? Yeah.
Excellent. That's I do love the Southwest.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Yerington, Nevada, about 90 miles from here.
Yeah. On 95, on 50?
95.
95.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went past there to pick up Tommy, to meet Tommy in Flagstaff. Went through Yerington just a week and a half ago.
Oh, well, next time my mom will make you lunch. I'm sure she'd be happy to. Yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
All right. So you guys met and that was early 90s?
Yeah.
And have you been touring together ever since?
Yeah.
Now, do you, I'm not musically literate really at all. I mean, I like music. I'm a great music fan. I listen to a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't know anything about, the process of making music just seems like, some kind of magic to me. So if I ask a question that seems kind of obtuse, it's because it is. So don't hesitate to point that out.
No, it's just ask stuff.
So I'm curious, do you write songs together? Do you work in the same room? Or do you send each other tapes back and forth? How's that work?
A lot of times we just stand on the stage and play, and he'll come up with a part.
Yeah. When you record, do you record together?
Yeah.
Is that pre-written, or do you just do it on the fly there?
In the studio, right? We just come up. Yeah.
Wait, is that the way you write music on the guitar as well?
Yeah, I don't write music on the guitar, really. A lot of times I'll just say, well, I've developed a taste for the bitter herb. Let's see what keys that in. So now I know I'm there. So that started some time ago, when the ways I was using in the past weren't helping me anymore. Oh, it's hard for me to make a change when ancient habits have me. See, right now, I know the basic idea. I've done this before, but I'm making up words as I go along too. And he's just playing. And so it's hard to change, and we try the bitter herb, 'cause we've been asleep so long. And the path of least resistance is so strong. See, the guitar's just following the voice. I'm making up a vocal melody, and the guitar I know that there'll be a minor 2 in there, because that's where a lot of times I go, that's where I go as a vocalist a lot. And so the guitar part writes itself. I don't write music on the guitar. I don't really write music. I write music down after I've already made it up. So we run from the taste of that bitter herb, 'cause it's hard to trust the bitter herb, 'cause the path of least resistance is so strong. Like that.
Oh, thank you.
And they come out different each time. So when you hear a recorded version, the take before it might have sounded totally different.
So this was just a unique thing we heard right here.
Yeah, in some ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I've sang the song before I even recorded it before, I think.
Uh-huh.
But whatever it is, they're all different. They're all going to be maybe in a different key depending on how your voice feels that night. So there's different people write down everything exactly. That's a good way too. Just when I do it, a lot of times it comes out like it comes out. So Tommy, just like you heard, he just follows. He hears what I'm doing. Once I start to settle on rhythm, he goes, okay, and then he jumps in, and there we go.
Huh. So now, do you write down lyrics?
No, a lot of times, not need to. Sometimes, actually, like I write them down. I don't write them. A lot of times. Sometimes if I think something's really good to remember, I'll write it down.
Because sometimes you have rhymes that are just so clever and so like it seems like it would take you forever to think of them. But is it pretty extemporaneous?
Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I'll write them down. If I come up with something I like, I'll go, I got to write that down and not forget.
Okay. Have you watched any of the country music documentary that Ken Burns did? It's on PBS.
Tommy was telling me about it. It's supposed to be real good.
It's so cool.
He was talking about the Loretta Lynn part.
I haven't gotten there. I just finished Hank Williams, and that story didn't end well. But Hank Williams would just like dash off a song. Like he'd be talking to Jimmy Dickens and say, "Hey, you need a song," and he'd write it, and then a week later he'd record it. And
That's
Jimmy
not
Dickens
surprising,
would be like,
because a lot of times it's got to have a light touch. If people belabor the songs too much, they come out and they sound all labored.
He got a lot of ideas from comic books.
You did, or
No,
Hank
Williams.
oh, he did? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Huh.
This one guy in his band, they interviewed him. This is on another thing. And they go, why do you walk around with all those funny books and those little 10-cent? He goes, where do you think I get my ideas for songs?
Huh.
Like dog, like you're in the doghouse, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
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 That's
So
funny.
so a lot of times you don't need to work too hard at them.
Yeah.
You hadn't got to the part about Charlie Pride?
No, I haven't
I
gotten there
cried
yet.
at that part. It was
It-
beautiful.
It's great. The whole thing is
Yeah.
gripping. Just the stories and
No, I'd love to. I heard about it. I'm going to watch it.
It's a lot of fun, and it did just get me thinking about that. Because some people, if you hear Dylan lyrics, it's like I don't know how he writes, but he's got to be working on that. That feels like so crafted, and
What about
And
Blowing in the Wind? Does that one sound that way too?
it sounds perfect, but it sounds crafted. I mean, to me, I don't know. Maybe I'm
No,
no
I don't
Bob
know
Dylan.
either. I'm just guessing. I don't know.
It's so interesting to me how there's so many paths to it. There's so many ways to write a song that hits. And you've certainly had a few of those, huh?
Well, you know what you gotta have. You gotta, before you think about how do you write this and do that, it's like there's verses and chorus. Throw it all away. It's all second place after feeling. To me, it's better to have a song that has the chorus in the wrong place and doesn't have any good lead up to it, but it has true feeling, than one that's written by the book perfect, but you sing it and then there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
So to me, feeling is number one. Now, so I didn't start out as a musician. I've become one a bit now over the years, but I wasn't one. I just had to say how I felt to the world. I had to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I learned. And the Velvet Underground was the group I learned from. I watched them, and they made stuff up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would be different each time, and those are the people I learned from.
So the Lovers were produced by John Cage, right?
Well, there was...
Or John Cale, rather.
They ended up never making a record. There was a demo tape that was produced by several people. One of them was John Cale. Another one was Alan Mason. There was another fellow named Stuart Love. And they all produced different ones that were on that record that I think you're talking about.
Yeah.
Back in about 45 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute. Did you... I don't know how to answer. Did you have much contact, much interaction with the Velvet Underground?
Yeah. I was. They let me hang around. They let me watch them rehearse. I learned more from watching them rehearse even than watching them play on the stage. For some reason, they let me. They didn't let everyone, but they let this little 16-year-old squirt that I was hang around.
That must have been a really heady time.
More than that, I was learning. I was
Yeah.
studying. I would ask them questions. They let me learn. They could see, actually. You know why they probably let me hang around? Because they could see that I was there to learn.
Mm-hmm. You were serious.
Yeah.
Yeah. When do you know, like, when you're onto something when you're writing a song?
I don't write them.
Or when you're
really, but it's different.
when you're playing
I'm
the
not
song,
just
yeah,
nitpicking because
yeah.
it really is different.
No, that's a fair point.
I don't ever know. Sometimes I'm just plain not on it or something. Sometimes I like it. No, but I would say if it sticks with me.
Yeah. Like when what do you mean sticks with you?
If
It
it's-
stays in your heart, or like you're tapping your foot
Everything.
to it, or
No, like when you remembered it, you're making it up and it sticks with you during the day.
yeah.
You
All
know.
right. That's
There's not much process to all this stuff. There doesn't have to be. It's real simple.
Mm-hmm.
You open your mouth and you sing. And if you feel something, you sing. And if you don't feel like it, you don't sing.
Do you feel like that's kind of how you live? Like, is that a
No,
how you
there's
approach
nothing
other
like
things?
that. There's just,
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to overdo this.
Yeah.
You just, look, you want to hear another song? Hey, what you got going, Tommy? What you looking at?
I'm looking at the silk screen.
Yeah, silk. They got a silk screen place here.
Yeah, it's really cool. They have like this community press here that does. They're really neat people and they do really great stuff.
Great.
Yeah.
Silk screening is great art.
So do you you mentioned painting? Do you still paint? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I build bread ovens, which is sort of like painting in 3 dimensions with rocks and bricks. And, like I build stone patios and bread ovens and
Oh, cool.
and steps and garden walls and things like that.
Does that?
I apprenticed for 5 years off and on
Oh,
when
cool.
I wasn't playing.
Cool.
So I studied with a stonemason.
Uh-huh. So I'm an attorney by day, and so I'm
All
in
right.
front of a computer. But
Yeah.
when I'm doing something for fun, I love to, I love to work with my hands and
Yeah.
do carpentry or
There we go.
sculpture stuff. So I wouldn't assume that those are similar to writing songs. But do you feel like it's
Yeah,
a
it is
similar
similar.
creative impulse?
Yeah,
kind of.
except you got to be more organized because if you mess up with those stones, like I got to be. In fact, it's good for me because it makes me more organized.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to stage the stones so I don't trip over them. I got to have the materials ready. I got to decide when I'm going to mix mortar. Because then once you're working with mortar, you're working with something that's setting up. So you got to decide how much you're going to use during the day and things like that.
Yeah.
And I develop systems like I'll dry mix some, and wet mix other amounts just so that I won't waste any, stuff like that. And so, but it's the same thing. You're working Sometimes you just got to work with your instinct in both ways. Something, and you practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they're good for each other, I think.
Yeah.
And oil
it seems
painting
like-
too. Their oil painting is sort of like stonework, except you don't have to lift stuff that weighs 110 pounds.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And it's a lot easier to store.
Yeah.
Where do you where do you paint outside? Do you paint inside? What kind of stuff do you paint?
Landscapes. A lot of times I have an easel. When I paint, I'll just set up and paint. But, I could paint indoors too if I have an idea that isn't in real life, that was in my imagination, and I would paint that indoors.
Do you sell your paintings, or do you think of them as being for sale, or are
Yeah,
they just for you?
sometimes there's art shows. Sometimes say, Jonathan, you got anything for this art show? And every once in a while, if I feel like it, I paint them to get rid of them. I don't paint them to collect them.
Yeah.
I just paint them to paint. And some of them I keep and some I give away, some I sell. Just whatever the situation.
Do you when you're playing music?
Yes.
Do you think of yourself as this is sort of related. Do you think of yourself as making something for someone else to hear later, or is it entirely in the moment for you right then? Or
I can't even answer because you just sing. It's simpler than that.
yeah,
Sometimes you wonder, oh, will people take this right, later? But sometimes you don't. Sometimes, it all depends.
if everyone in the world disappeared but you and your guitar, you think you'd still play music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then things would go south fast.
Oh yeah, that would raise some other problems, I guess. So I have all these notes that I wrote down that I'm not following at all, which is probably okay.
Sure.
When did it first, you said when you were 16, you thought, music found you.
Yeah, I did. It found me. I didn't choose it.
Were you thinking, boy, I can do this for a job at that point, or?
Like I'm saying, no.
Yeah?
No, it just found me.
Huh.
It just was something I would just do all day. No, I didn't think I would be able to do it professionally, no.
One of I think John Baldessari has this thing about
Who's
making
he?
art. He's a conceptual artist. He did all these paintings with he got famous putting little round pieces on little round stickers on people's faces.
My first grade teachers do that too.
I know, yeah. Well,
Tommy
they
does
could have
it.
been big.
Yeah.
There's a short film about him that Tom Waits narrates.
the hours?
That's great.
Yeah.
But he says, there's 3 rules for making art, and one of them is you have to be possessed, and it cannot be willed. You just have to.
There we go.
It has to be there.
It finds you. You
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you listen to music for fun around?
I listen all the time.
What kind of music you listen to?
A lot of times lately, stuff Indian classical music, Hindu stuff. I listen to Spanish music, listen to French music, old rhythm and blues, classical music, Debussy, Ravel, Eric Satie, Manuel de Falla, a Spanish composer from the
Classical composer?
from the early part of the 20th century. He knew Debussy. They were more or less contemporaries.
Huh. You certainly hear a lot of those influences on your newest record. I think it's your newest Saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat
Thank you.
record.
Thank you
that
very
sounds
much.
cool. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
When you play a show,
Yes.
were you about to say something?
No.
So when you play a show, is it on the moment? Do you
Yes.
have a set list?
No.
Do you just play what you want to play?
Yeah.
Do you talk about it before, or does Tommy just
No.
know you well enough to follow?
Yeah.
All
You
right.
got it.
That's cool. I've only seen you the one time, and I'm very much excited to see you again.
Yeah. It'll be tonight.
Yeah, I'll be there with bells on. Geez, my notes are just about useless.
Oh, then let's just do 2 more and we'll call it good.
Oh, well, I have a couple more questions, but
Good.
go ahead and play another song. You mean
Okay.
2 more songs?
No, 2 more questions. And then
Oh,
we'll
okay,
call
then
it.
that
Yeah,
sounds
we'll wrap.
that sounds good.
let's go home. Why do you roam the world, that foreign land? Why do you wear its alien clothes? Oh, mine, let's go home. Why do you wear them alien clothes? Why do you wear them alien clothes? Let's go home. Let's go home to the heart. Let's go home, mind. Let's go home.
All right. That's from the new album, right?
Is.
Yeah, yeah. It reminds me of that. There's a Tom Robbins line about your real self doesn't know your name.
There we go.
You know? Yeah,
How about that?
that's something. So, you, I get the sense from, reading about you and hearing other interviews that the last thing you want to do is sort of be your own Modern Lovers cover band. And I'm wondering, on the new album, there is a song that references Old World, one of the Lovers songs. I'm wondering what's your relationship with songs you've written in the past? What is that like?
You got it? Remember when you just said that guy said your real self doesn't even know your name? He also doesn't know what songs you're going to do next. You just do 'em.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun answer. What do you hear? I mean, certainly you talked about listening to Indian classical, and I mentioned
Yeah.
that. You hear that. Is that something that happens for you? Like, does the music you're listening to find your way into what you're playing?
Sometimes if I like it.
Yeah. It's not organized. It's not in a thought. It's just kind of
None
it
of this
oozes in or
stuff
not.
is organized.
I guess that's the theme here. You just you're.
It isn't even, it's just, yeah.
Okay, I have a couple more questions.
Okay.
It seems like every interview has to have kind of a stupid throwaway question, and I do have one of those, which is you have a song, "Lonely Little Thrift Shop" from '98 or so.
Uh-huh.
So, what was the last thing you bought from a thrift shop, or what's your favorite thing you ever found at a thrift shop?
Let me see. Give me a minute to think about it. What's the
Sure
next
thing.
question?
We'll come back to that. Like people describe your music as sort of having an innocence or a wide-eyed sort of openness, which is true, but it seems like it's what strikes me more as a sort of lack of cynicism than anything, just as sort of like refusal or rejection of any kind of cynicism. Is that something you work for? Is that something that is
I
it
don't
just
even
who
know
you
that
are?
these things are true.
Yeah.
Like you just play. It doesn't. There's no need to. I don't know. I don't want to find out. I don't know.
Earlier in the year, I found a 1958 Ludwig mahogany nickel-plated snare drum. It was in mint condition. It was $9.99, but with my senior citizens discount, I got it for $7.50.
Nice.
There we go.
How about that?
That's good.
That's
In
that's a good one.
Like I get a lot of good shirts at thrift stores, especially like you can get dress shirts, like the real good dress shirts, but they're only $2 and $4.
Mhm.
So I get a lot of those at thrift stores. That's probably the last thing I would have bought, or maybe a pair of wool black, maybe trousers or something, but more likely shirts.
Yeah. I do like the thrift stores.
That's right.
All right.
So
Well, I think that's probably good. You want to play us out with one more?
yeah, let's try one. To win you must fight, or so they say. But with love things never seem to work that way. With love you can't win if love can't get in, and it can't pierce the heart of a defender. To win in love you must surrender. if you're angry, then you can't surrender, no. Your unwilling surrender is just a show, and unwillingly sweet is certain defeat. Better a fighter than a soft-spoken pretender. Whoa, to win in love, you must surrender. I can be stubborn and draw the line, but now I've learned to pray thy will and not mine. Love has softened my heart and has softened me. It's softened my eyes on the things they see, and my cheek has got much softer to the touch since I learned to be receiver as well as sender. To win in love, you must surrender. To win in love, you must surrender. Surrender, surrender. Surrender, surrender, surrender.
All right. Well, Jonathan Richman and Tommy Larkins, I want to thank you so very much for coming down and visiting with us. And if you are interested in seeing more of this, Jonathan and Tommy are playing tonight at the Holland Project on Vesta Street. We would love to see you there.
Jerry, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.